What's good, combat sports fans? You already know it's your boy Bando, and we are back at it with another episode of Combat and Kick It. UFC 308 was this past weekend. I did my review already. This is not the review. This is talking about something different. Obviously, ILIA TOPURIA got it done against Max Holloway, so he remains the champion. He remains undefeated, and we sit back now to discuss who is next for ILIA TOPURIA. And you got two people that come to mind every time we discuss who's next for the featherweight championship. You got the undefeated Diego Lopes, the nasty prospect on the way up, looking like a terror. Or you go with the former champion, who pretty much does deserve the shot, in Alexander Volkanovski. That's what we're going to break down. That's what we're going to talk about. So let's get right into this episode. Let's go. So ILIA is on a tear. Two back-to-back unbelievable performances against two greats. Simple as that. Two greats. Knocks out Alexander Volkanovski. Knocks out Max Holloway. Those are statements made. Those are huge statements made. What is next? What is next? I was saying in the review that the passing of the guard looks like it's about to happen. Looks like it is happening, and looks like, you know, we're starting to see the new wave of fighters come up. We're about to see the next wave, the next gen of guys, and things are about to change, right? And fans like me who've been in the game for a while, so we've been coming up with a lot of these guys who could eventually be on their way out soon. It sucks. It sucks. I don't think Max Holloway's done, so don't take my words and mix them in any which way. I do not believe Max Holloway is done. I know you guys might have been thinking that that's where I'm going with, but that's not what I'm talking about. There is just going to be a time where all of our favorite fighters are not fighting no more. And it's either going to be because of age, injuries, or losses. You know what I mean? Like we've been watching Tony Ferguson lose 8 fights. Beforehand, we were watching him win 12 in a row. Now we watch him lose 8 in a row. The game changes so fast, and the passing of the guard happens, right? And I think ILIA TOPURIA made 2 of the biggest statements you could possibly make in that division. So if you sit back and you talk about... Sorry about that. If you sit back and you talk about who should deserve the title shot more, the guy he already knocked out, or the other undefeated guy who brings a new flow, something new to the division, something new to ILIA, something different, right? So obviously both men deserve it. Volk deserves it. You can't say he doesn't deserve it. The man has put his all into every fight. He's put his all into every fight. He's went up into divisions. He's taken short notice fights. He's fought in every single person that was next in line, right? Did not run away from it. Did not deny it. He took the fights that he needed to take it to solidify greatness. And he did exactly that. Takes the fight with ILIA in an unfortunate time, right? This was coming off of the knockout loss to Islam. So it's already coming back as a tough fight to come back to. You're talking about a tough puncher in ILIA. We all were kind of nervous for the fight, and it happened. Volk got knocked out. I think if we get this fight again, it's going to be similar to a fight like Rose Namajunas and Joanna Jędrzejczyk too. If you remember that fight, Joanna came back and she didn't really want to fully engage. Right? The engagements didn't start happening until the later rounds because she didn't want to engage because she just got knocked out, and she's never been knocked out before. So that was her first time getting knocked out. I have a feeling that Volk could be coming into this fight, if he gets this fight again, gets the rematch, he could be coming into this fight with a little bit of like a gun shyness. Right? I could see him being a little gun shy going in there. Not wanting to properly engage. Waiting for moments. Right? Being overly patient. And when you do that, you're either going to get clipped up and knocked out. Or you're going to end up just having a few bad rounds and then start coming around, but you don't come around enough to end up getting the decision. The decision still ends up falling to the champion. I mean, I've just seen it so many times, and it truly does make me feel like we're going to see moments like Rose and Joanna 2, Weidman and Silva 2. Even though Weidman and Silva ended in an injury, you saw the difference in Anderson Silva when he came into that fight. You've seen the difference in every fight of Anderson Silva ever since that injury. But you've seen the difference since he got knocked out. Coming into that second fight, there was a whole different mindset, whole different attitude. He had his hands up. He never fought with his hands up before that. He was fighting with his hands up. See, guys will change. And I think Volk would change a lot. And I'm not sure if he would change for the good or change for the worse. Would he be gun shy because he's coming off of 2 knockout losses now? Or is the time off, right, the amount of time that he's had off, going to benefit him when he does come back? Volk has one of the best IQs in the game. There's no argument to that. You can't argue that. He has one of the best IQs in the game. Obviously, he's not young, right? He's not super old, but he's also not young, right? After coming off of 2 knockout losses, having to go through full training camp, cutting weight, and you're going up against a confident, powerful, and in ways looks like he's gonna be a dominant champion for a little while against ILIA Topuria. I don't see Volk being able to come back now to get this fight done. If you were talking about the same time period that Volk was fighting Max the first time, the second time, different story. I could see Volk being able to come back, 4 or 5 years ago. Now, I think it's a little bit different. And no, I'm not doubting Volk. I'm not hating on Volk. I love Volk, right? He is so fun to watch, and every fight that he has ever been in was exciting. He doesn't put on boring fights. You got to respect that. You got to give it to him. He goes in there, gives it his all, and he's always trying to finish the fight. And he got a lot of people's respect, like, full on after the Islam fight. But he had my respect far before that. But going up against Ilya again, the guy who already took your chin once, it might go bad. But then we talk about Diego Lopes coming off a huge win over Brian Ortega, right? A win where he almost got an early finish, almost got a first round finish by knocking out Brian Ortega. Imagine that. Imagine if Diego Lopes would have just landed the right hand and never followed up with the left. He probably would have knocked Brian out in the first round at that fight in the Sphere. So you would have seen all in the same year the former top 3 featherweights all get KO'd, who are known to have chins, known to not get knocked out. The game is changing. That is just how I feel. The game is changing, and Diego Lopes is one of the guys I feel like who can bring a very, very competitive fight to ILIA Topuria. The reason I say that is because you can see the power is there. The power is there, and I feel like for the first few rounds, it could be very exciting. Ilya is not slow, but Ilya is very patient, right? He's very patient, especially in the first round. Diego is explosive as can be, meet you in the middle, go straight at you, swinging and ready to fight right off rip in the first round. I think Diego's striking is good. I don't know if it's better than Ilya's. I don't think so. I think Ilya's striking is a little bit better. I think his distance management is better. It's an interesting fight, though, because you got a powerful and wild kind of fighter in Diego Lopes, who, from what it seems like to me, seems like he's got a chin as well. He's got a good ground game. I'm not going to say his cardio is great. Not going to say it's good, but I'm also not going to say it's bad. It's okay. It's okay. It's decent. I feel like it's going to get better, right? It's going to get better. He's fighting bigger fights. He's either going to get one more fight before this, or he's going to get the title shot. He weighed in as the backup for this fight, and I think when you do stuff like that, you definitely are deserving of a title shot. So if Volk isn't the guy, Diego Lopes is for sure the guy. I've been seeing people on Instagram talking about Movsar Evloev. Stop it. Just stop it. Stop it. The man did not even beat Arnold Allen. Let's be for real. He did not beat Arnold Allen. He got gifted that decision. That's first and foremost. Second off, Diego Lopes almost beat him on his debut. Goodbye. Get out of here. Fight Aljo, beat Aljo, and then we'll talk. But I think Aljo wins that fight, truth be told. I think Aljo is going to be a pretty damn good featherweight if he can stay healthy. But you got an interesting division in general, right? You got an interesting division in general. Max is got to go up to 155. Max is not a 145er no more. Let's just face it. Max should not be fighting at 145. 155 is the home. I'm sick of seeing that man on the scales at 145, sunken in eyes. He's looking drained as can be. You know, and I'm not saying that that's the reason he got knocked out, but it definitely doesn't help at all. It does not help even in the slightest bit. So, he's definitely got to go to 155. Simple as that. Go to 155. Get some few more exciting fights. What I truly believe the fight to make now is, and people are going to think I'm crazy, but if you can get that cokehead Conor McGregor back into the octagon, Conor and Max is a fight to make. One, both guys would really, really benefit off of that one. It'd be a second fight. It'd give Max an opportunity to get revenge from the first fight. And I think Max at lightweight puts Conor away. And I know a lot of people might disagree, but I do think he puts Conor away. And if he doesn't put him away, he pieces him up for 5 rounds. But I don't think Conor can stay in there getting pieced up for 5 rounds by Max Holloway. That's the way I feel. But I think that's the fight you make, and let Max Holloway get a super money fight, cash out on that, and retire. Call it a day. Because he don't need. If you think about it at this point, there's no need, unless Islam fights another fight and retires, and the style of the lightweight division changes a little bit. Max isn't going to be a champion up there. He's a BMF champion. He's got that belt. You know, people are trying to take the BMF away from him because he didn't throw down in the first 10 seconds of the fight. What do you want him to do? What do you want him to do? He threw down in the last 10 seconds against Gaethje, right? In an absolute slugfest that he was already winning, all just for the fans' sake, to show what type of fight they were truly in, and that was a BMF fight. This one was different. This was for the featherweight championship. The first 10 seconds, I understand why Max wasn't going to do it. Now, it would have been some savage shit, but you don't take away the fact that he's still a bad fighter, a tough dude. He is a BMF. You can't take that away from him because he didn't decide to engage in the first 10 seconds, right? I predicted that he was going to do really well at 3, 4, 5, and then end up in the last 10 seconds pointing to the ground and beating ILIA in an exchange. Not knocking him out like Gaethje, but beating him in an exchange like that. Didn't happen. ILIA found his chin, and nothing else to be said about that. But in my opinion, between these two guys that we were discussing, I got a little off there. The two guys we were discussing, you're looking at Volk and Diego Lopes. I think Volk is deserving, but Diego Lopes continues shaking up the division. So if he gets the fight, it continues to shake up the division a little bit. It sends another. See, Diego Lopes can lose this fight and come back. He's got so much time. If Volk gets this fight and loses, there is no comeback to that. That's it. He lost this fight. That's it. You know what I mean? If he comes back and loses this fight, it's a wrap. Maybe he'd have to go to 155 and try to fight an exciting fight or something like that. But with Diego Lopes, if Diego takes this fight and it's like an early type of thing in his career, people feel like he's getting pushed kind of early. If he gets the fight and loses the fight, so be it. He can come back and get this fight again X amount of years down the line. I don't know why the ISO keeps going up on this camera. Brightness changes every 2 seconds. But I think it's even doper to take the fight now, where people think that you shouldn't get the fight because you're young, because it's early, and you end up winning. And then it starts a whole new rivalry in the division. Starts a whole new thing, a whole new possible trilogy we might get, right? Shaking up the division's fun when you've seen the same guys in the top 5 for, what, 6-7 years now? So I'd say my overall consensus, my overall breakdown of it is Volk deserves it, but I'd rather see Diego Lopes get it. So I think if they're going to book it, and depending on when they're deciding to book it, right, who's ready? Who's ready right away? You saw Diego Lopes already weighed in, so he showed that he was ready. But I can see Diego Lopes being the type of guy to not wait. He'll take a fight, right? If the UFC can't make the decision between Volk and Diego Lopes, I can see Diego Lopes taking a fight, which is risky because you can end up taking a risky fight, which I think a great fight for him would actually be Yair Rodriguez. That would be a fun, explosive fight for however long that would last. But if he doesn't take a fight, sitting there, the UFC just has to make the decision on who's next. It's hard to pass over your former pound for pound who never lost the belt in that division beforehand. You know what I mean? Like, the loss that he had, the 2 losses that he had were up in a different division. So it's not like he lost in his own division. He reigned that division. He was ruling it. He was doing his thing. So yeah, extremely deserving. Hard to argue with the title shot. I would just prefer to see the matchup between Diego Lopes and ILIA TOPURIA. That's that. You already know. I appreciate you guys for watching these episodes. You know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, your family. Hit the bell notification button so you know when the next episode is out. And I'll catch you on the next episode. Your boy Bando is out. Peace.